And we're back once again, ready to turn the page and jump into another episode of Direct Edition.
Welcome back, everyone. It's a new week and a new episode, and we've got a really exciting show for you this week. We're going to talk about new comics, as always. We're also going to talk about tabletop games, International Tabletop Day. We're going to talk about Funko Pops, and of course, now that Game of Thrones is over, we're going to talk about that too. So let's jump into that. Tommy, what do we do now?
What's Game of Thrones?
Well, Tommy, Game of Thrones is a show on... No.
Was a show.
That's right. It was a show.
It is over.
It is over.
It is
done.
Dead, done, nada, no more. I can't say I'm sad. I'm really not. I'm really not unhappy, Jared. It's over. I actually lost interest last season because, I mean, when you go on a break for a whole year, it's like other things pop in, you know. It's attention economy, man. It's something that's...
Yeah.
I'm more of a fan of The Last Kingdom.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm sad either, but I'm not disappointed. I know that a lot of people are very vocal about how the show ended and what it currently feels like.
Yeah.
To have something that you've gone with now for the better part of 8 years to now just be over. And I think the other big part of it too is that we have no frame of context. We're still waiting on Winds of Winter and Dreams of Spring to come out. So I think without that source material and that reference material, a lot of people are kind of like, well, I don't know what the inner monologue or the inner thinkings, or am I missing out on particular details that weren't explicitly put forward through the show?
You know, I never read the books, so I didn't have that like frame of reference, not like I did with Lord of the Rings. So this is very, you know, but you can tell production outlasted what was written by George R.R. Martin. And so, but, you know, it's like, it's there. It's gone. It's done its course. And 8 years, I mean, with any show is a long time. I mean,
yeah.
Walking Dead, what's coming on year 10?
Something like that.
And it's like, I mean, for me, I stopped watching mid-season this year because I was just like, I don't have time to go back to it. So, but I probably will go catch it just to try to finish it out. But you can just kind of tell once your main characters start going off, you know, you start to, because I think that's why you follow a show anyways, because you love the characters.
Sure.
You get to know. And I think that's what made Game of Thrones unique from day one, was because they killed the main character in the first season. Like, who does that? You know, so it was like, it's been a great run. I've enjoyed the show. I've enjoyed, you know, the characters and the character arcs and falling in love with these people over time. But I can honestly say there's some shows I'm just like, man, that show was
too long.
Well, it's like, it's over. Now what I'm going to watch.
Yeah.
I don't really get that little suck hole of like, what am I going to watch next? But it's like, with this one, you know, you put it away. It was great to remember. It was great to talk about.
Yeah.
But I'm sure something else will pop up in the next year, and we'll be all about that.
And that's kind of the great thing is you can, once you are able to put a pin in something, you can shelve it, walk away, and then whatever that next great thing is will be the next great thing. I know a lot of people are excited because we've seen the promo trailers for Watchmen during the HBO interludes before Game of Thrones started. And it looks like they're trying to really pump out some new quality content.
It's got Don Johnson in it.
It does. Jeremy Irons is in it also. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what's going to come of that. But yeah, a lot of people are scrambling right now like, oh, what do I do? What do I fill my time with?
Well, first of all, people, take a breath, go to a local comic book store, pick up some comic books.
Yeah.
Summer's a good time to get out and do something fun. Conventions, go to those shops, make some friends. Tabletop gaming, which we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
But I know there's some cool shows going to be coming out this fall. We're going to wrap up a few things, at the end of the spring, and I'm excited about them. But like I said, I mean, Game of Thrones was great, Jared. I know, that was kind of like something we always talk about at the store because,
sure.
One show we definitely both watched together. I know a lot of you who are watching are Game of Thrones fans or have been following the show, and everybody's probably either hurt or not hurt, or maybe you're like Jared, you're a little, you're not unhappy with the outcome.
I'm content.
Yeah.
And, I think you hit the point exactly, is we do talk about it. And and it's become such a part of the cultural conversation. It was that water cooler show, essentially, and it was the first time that a high fantasy kind of premium cable show was able to do that. Now, granted, I'm sure things like there were some smaller groups that talked about like Spartacus or some of the other premium cable shows, but this was the first time that something had just grabbed the culture's attention.
Yeah, and it pulled
like
people
that.
in that aren't necessarily into that kind of a
Right.
thing, and there was a lot of the non-geek squad out there watching Game of Thrones just because it was such a good show. And like I said, it was a good show. Don't get me wrong, folks. Game of Thrones was a great show. I enjoyed it while it lasted. At the same time, I know things come to an end. I wasn't nowhere near as devastated as I was when Star Trek ended.
Well, and I think that's a good point. Where we have to say goodbye to things that we love, and unfortunately, that means the same for this segment. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and when you come back, I'm going to tell you all about the new comic books hitting shelves this week.
I got into karate when I was 4 years old, and it was just my favorite thing to do. I tried every other thing. I didn't like dance or nothing like that. In karate, you can dress up in a gi, and you can get on that mat and you can perform like you want to perform. I made friendships by competing in divisions with them. They were in the same situation, didn't have any friends at the tournaments either, and then we just automatically became friends. I do believe it's put me in a confidence place, because when I started, I didn't have confidence in myself. Since this is my 5th Battle of Atlanta, I really want to push me on stage. When I know there's a bunch of people going to be here watching me if I make it, it's just going to be overexciting. I'm going to push my hardest and try to win it.
And we're back. We've got a slew of new releases for you, so let's jump in and get started. Right off the rip, we got DC Last Night on Earth #1 is coming out. This is a Batman title from Black Label that I'm actually kind of excited about. I've mentioned in the show previous weeks, and looks super duper interesting. We also have Doomsday Clock #10. This series has been going on forever. The first issue came out on November 22nd of 2017 and still isn't over. Heroes in Crisis #9 is over, and that has been a fun series that a lot of people have been enjoying. And Superman Leviathan Rising Special #1 will bridge the gap between Leviathan Rising and the new event Leviathan. Marvel Comics is going to be giving us Amazing Spider-Man #22, Black Panther #12, Daredevil #6, Fantastic Four #10, Immortal Hulk #18, Thanos #2, War of the Realms War Scrolls #2, and X-Men Grand Design Extinction #1. Now, I know that's a mouthful. The Grand Design series is usually a compilation of past X-Men books in the past. So anything in the X-Men's history will be compiled usually in these issues. Image will be marching towards #300 with Spawn. Spawn #297 will be out this week. Dark Horse Comics will be featuring Stranger Things 6 #1. Now, if the numbers throw you off, 6 is actually referencing one of the experiments from the show. So this is actually a prequel series to the Stranger Things TV show. Boom Studios will be giving us Mighty Morphin Power Rangers #39, and this will be a prelude to their new event, Necessary Evil. IDW will go ahead and round out our list with Transformers #6 and Star Trek Year 5 #2. Tommy, this is a week. They put in a lot of work this week.
Before I throw you my picks, I've got a question. I was thinking about this as you were going down the list. Some of these viewers at home may or may not be aware of this, because I know I kind of am, but don't really think I have all the facts. Why does Marvel have all these character titles the way they have them right now? You're talking like Spider-Man, Black Panther, Thor, and they started with back with #1 a few months ago.
Sure.
So it's like, what's the mentality here? What's going on with Marvel?
I think
Is it because of the movies that people got? I know there was some confusion before they did this reset because of, people are into the MCU and they go to pick up a copy of Thor and it's Jane Foster. So it's like,
Sure.
so is that where we are with this? Is that's why Marvel's always they're releasing their characters out, or is it just just trying to keep the
I think the way Marvel's kind of approaching things right now is with the advent, of course, of their MCU and being in the casual interest, they're just workhorsing their way through titles. And even though they do reset to some number ones, they're not canceling as many titles. So you have a lot of authors and artists that are kind of pulling double duty and doing overtime on multiple different books. And I think also particularly when you have a crossover event like War of the Realms, you have these tie-in issues. But most of the titles are kind of sticking to their bi-weekly and their monthly
So it's
schedule.
they're trying to get some things streamlined, because I know the Marvel comic universe, not the cinematic universe, but the Marvel comic universe can for me can get a little out there,
Sure. And I think, again, it really kind of boils down to the fact that we have an event going on. So War of the Realms is adding to that list by having their tie-ins, by having their miniseries, by having all these things that are associated with it, whereas DC is keeping it more condensed. Like Heroes in Crisis is technically an event, but there are no tie-ins. So if you want to read Heroes in Crisis and about that particular
They're not doing
event,
specific tie-ins, but if you're following some of the main characters, they reference it.
right.
And so they're like, oh, this happened, which I won't spoil for anyone who's not reading. And you're like, oh, when did that happen? So if you're not reading Heroes in Crisis, you won't kind of know. But I do think if you just kept reading Green Arrow, you wouldn't miss out on anything.
Right, but those individual tie-ins aren't getting their own title, like War of the Realms War Scrolls or War of the Realms Journey into Mystery. So
I think DC needs a break from that too, because they've had a ton of events in the last since Rebirth. They've had several big events, and it has been it's been much. It's been a lot, and I'm kind of glad that they're taking a little bit of a lull right now. I know they're coming into Year of the Villain, so we're going to have some tie-ins there. But Heroes in Crisis, I was glad it was sort of like its own standalone story arc.
Right.
But it does affect the DC comic universe a lot now.
Right.
And I'm curious to see, this is my picks of the week. I'm curious to see how this wraps up, because I'm kind of like, really? This is what we decided? So, because some of my major characters, Wally, this is all about Wally West again. And it's like, Wally West is one of my,
he's your boy.
He's my boy. He's my favorite Flash. And it's like, all of a sudden he's at the center of this event. So those who haven't been following Heroes in Crisis, I won't spoil it for you, but he's been the center of this event. And it's like, the twist at the last issue was like, okay, please tell me this is not really how it is. So I'm very excited to see how this wraps up. The artwork's been great. It's been a beautiful story. Like I said, Tom King's done a great job with this issue, so this series. So excited about that. A couple other picks this week, though, Jerry. I'm looking forward to the Stranger Things 6.
Sure.
I did pick up the last series that they put out, which was great to see what happens to Will when he's in the Upside Down. So I'm curious to see a little bit of like some behind the scenes of what takes place before the TV show. Definitely be picking up a copy of Last Night on Earth. Looks fun, I Metal was cool, but I think this might actually be might have some humor into it. At least I'm hoping,
Humor in the Batman.
The dark humor.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. It's always a little far and few between, but always interesting when it does occur. But I think for me, I'm on board with Batman Last Night. They're kind of doing this situation where Bruce wakes up out of a delusional state and is talking to all these individuals that are mirrors of what we know as like the Joker, Ra's al Ghul, Hush, things like that. But they're telling him that none of it's been true. This fantasy of Batman and the life that he's been living is all false. So I'm interested to see if they start like flashing between the two. Or what this is going to do, but Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo are going to probably kill it once again. Their 5-year run on Batman during the New 52 is borderline legendary. Where they gave us Court of Owls, Death in the Family, Endgame, and a bunch of other things. So I think this is going to be also something worth watching.
And this, now, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. This is their last team up for a while. Like, I don't think this is like one of their, like, they may be not putting something together for a hot minute after this.
Sure, or at least that's what they're soliciting. That's kind of the tagline and the little bit that they're saying.
Because they're kind of synonymous, you know?
Yeah, the pairing and the team of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo have been very, very linked and tied together. So that is something that they've been putting in all the blurbs and most of the ad sets, saying that this is their last run on Batman together. Now, they could be saying that this is the last time that we're going to see them paired together. It could just mean that they're going to move over to a different property, whether that's something still within the Bat family, like Nightwing or Robin, or maybe they're going to go do something else. Maybe they're going to do Teen Titans or Superman. Who knows?
I'd like to see them do Aquaman. It could be gritty, dark, you know, kind of like that deep ocean. What are you thinking? I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
That'd be cool.
I'd love to see them take on a new property.
Sure,
you know?
sure.
So that'd be great.
I think that's my only big pick for the week. I haven't been keeping up with Power Rangers as much as I'd like. I'm definitely of that generation that grew up on Power Rangers, and this is following the original 5 team of, Jason, Tommy, Trini, Kimberly, Billy, Zach.
That was impressive, by the way.
This is my childhood. This is something that is deeply ingrained. It's like saying duck, duck, and then goose.
Gotcha.
But Boom Studios has been doing a great job. They revived the series and contemporized it. So it doesn't take place in the 90s. The kids all have cell phones in between their classes. But it kind of also reaffirms and proves that the story itself is timeless. Where the show was a little bit more structured, that you had these archetypes of characters. You have the nerd, the jock, the leader, so forth and so on. The book has taken the time, and the series has taken the time to give you characters. So you have individuals that are suffering from PTSD. You have individuals who have guilt over the fact that they don't feel like they are a hero. And has been really well done, because I think Boom Studios recognizes that their audience is older, and really rides this fine line of not going like super dark realism for an adult audience. They still maintain a lot of the fun and a little bit of the camp of the show too. So if you haven't picked up or had a chance to look at Mighty Morphin Power Rangers from Boom Studios, I know that there are upwards of about 5 trades. So you could pick up volume 1 for that. And like I said, number 39 is going to be a prelude to a new event.
Well, Jared, I'm excited that you're excited. And whether you're excited about Power Rangers or Batman, The Last Night on Earth, we want to hear about it. Make sure you comment in the sections below, like and subscribe to all of our social channels, and we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about some tabletop gaming.
Wins and losses are determined in your training. You spend 3 to 4 days a week, maybe more, to prepare for 3 minutes in the ring. I was never the fastest or the strongest or the most athletic kid. I've always had to work for everything I've gotten. So having that time set out where it's like, all right, this is me time. I have to do this. This is my training. And sometimes that means waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, going to the gym because I got to work from 7 to 5. I've been very lucky. I've had very supportive parents that always pushed me, and great coaches. There's nothing that can beat it. You take the beatings and you learn so much through that when you get out here for competition, it's second nature. I've been doing a lot of amateur kickboxing. Currently 6-2, a couple knockouts under my belt. My goal is to fight a couple more bigger venue amateur fights and then turn professional hopefully by the end of this year and see as far as it takes me. I just don't want to go back in my life and say, I should have done that. That's what I tell everybody too. Like, don't ever pass up an opportunity that you may regret tomorrow. There is nothing that can stop me. The only person that can beat me is me. I know I have the talent and the ability. I just have to commit myself to doing it, and when I do, it's very hard to beat me.
So we've got a special day for you this week. June 1st is International Tabletop Gaming Day. And I have to admit, Jared, I like some tabletop gaming, but I don't play it a lot.
I can't believe you don't play any tabletop games.
Does Chutes and Ladders count?
Yes, yes, it does. International Tabletop Day is a great community day for those that celebrate board games, tabletop games, and just the general coming together around a table. I think with the advent of digital and video games, there's been this great renaissance and push for people to kind of return to the table and engage with each other one-on-one. It's attributed to the rise of things like D&D, and we've seen all these great new board games kind of coming to the forefront and becoming these new classics. So Chutes and Ladders, Monopoly, Clue, all still classic games and are classics for a reason. But we're seeing new things like Catan, Pandemic, the Arkham series for the H.P. Lovecraft Eldritch kind of horror genre. And new things are continuing to come out. We see a lot of people on Kickstarter now generating and creating new games. Gloomhaven is something that a ton of people are clamoring for, and that's all they've been talking about. But Tabletop Day is a great day to come together, play games, enjoy, meet other people who also enjoy games, and kind of reaffirm and rebolster that community. You can usually find it on Google. If you go to International Tabletop Day 2019, you should be able to search by zip code and find a participating retailer. I know First Edition will be participating, and it will be Saturday, June 1st, and it'll be all day.
And I know, even though I don't play a lot, I have played some tabletop games before, with some of my friends and their families. And it is a lot of fun. It's a great way to come together. And for all you out there at home watching, again, check out those local comic book stores. There are a lot of stores out there that have, since the popularity has risen, have carved out spaces in their stores just to make sure that there is space for people to come in and game. I know there's a lot here in the Metro Atlanta area, including your store, where you can come in and kind of gather, commune, and play some games. And that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah, and in addition, it's not just comic book stores. I know that there is a synergy and a kind of cross-pollination of clients for that. But there's also, stores that are specifically designed for that. So you can still find a lot of those gaming halls, and that is their bread and butter. They have loads of space, loads of tables. They'll probably have a wide library of games for you to demo and choose from. So definitely check them out. You can, again, find them on the internet. It's a great resource. And if you're in the Atlanta metro area, I know a lot of the gaming stores tend to be on the north side, but they're scattered throughout, and you can usually find some hidden gems.
Yeah, actually, now that you mentioned, I actually ran across a tabletop gaming cafe when I was down in New Orleans a few weekends ago. So, I was going to go in there, but it was kind of packed. I was like, let me move on to the comic store that was 2 doors down. So, that's kind of a rare find in itself, to be able to find both of those things right next to each other, but it makes sense. And like you said, if you can just hunt those places down, or at the very least, guys, gather together with your friends at your home, put your games out there, and if you want to throw it on Twitch or something, let us know, man. We'll definitely try to check it out. Because, again, it's all about taking a special day to gather and with some friends, doing some cool stuff together, playing some games, and spend as much time as you can, because that's really what it's all about, guys.
Yeah, and it doesn't just have to be one day a year. A lot of these people get together. I know with my friends and myself, we either get together every other week or once a month, and our gaming sessions can be from a couple minutes to a full couple hours.
So besides D&D, what's your tabletop game you're playing?
For me, I could play Pandemic to death. That is one of my favorite games. I like it because it's a co-op game. We've seen recently a rise in a cooperative style play that I absolutely enjoy. Co-op games, you win together or you lose together. Nice. And there are mechanics in the game that, the game itself kind of fights back. But Pandemic...
like the Oregon Trail.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, have you played Pandemic?
I have not played Pandemic, but it sounds like I need to get a session together.
Absolutely.
Let me know if you're up for it, guys.
And you know what? We might be able to feature that someday or talk about it more in depth.
We should.
But essentially, if you've ever played the phone app Plague Inc., it's kind of the same premise. So all the players start in Atlanta, because that's where the CDC is located. And each player takes on a particular role that has a particular ability. But the main goal is to try and clear the board, which is a world map of all these little disease cubes. But the game fights back and will continually add more. The tricky part is if a particular city ever outbreaks, the disease cubes will travel to connected cities. So let's say London outbreaks. and then it'll travel additional cube to Washington, D.C., New York, and Paris. Uh-oh, Washington, D.C. is on the brink of outbreak, and now that one outbreaks. So it hits Chicago and Miami, and so forth and so on. So it can get out of hand fast.
Sounds like an awesome game.
It really is.
Maybe one day we'll all get together and play some Pandemic.
Sure.
So for all of you out there who are huge fans of tabletop gaming, your day's coming up. But in the meantime, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk about something I do know about, Funko Pops.
Battle of Atlanta is the place where the best people in the world came to fight. Oliver tells us if you want to be the best, you have to go to the Battle of Atlanta. And as a kid, you see the pictures, and was always the main goal one day to come here to fight.
Johannes is my best friend.
We push each other, and if we don't fight against each other, one of us was in the corner and hoped that he win or I will win.
The first fight in the career on the stage of the Battle of Atlanta
Was a dream come true. Your whole life you train for that, and now it's there. Sometimes I walk out in the hall and there was a big picture from me and it's not real. But you don't do it for the fame or for a lot of people can see it. You do it for yourself. Martial arts is my life. Oliver was always a role model for us. Now we live that life, and I hope we can be role model for other kids in the future. They see the pictures now from the battle. If we come home and see one day I will come to the battle.
All right, we hope you enjoyed the break, and we're back to talk about Funko Pops. Funko Pops are the new hot collectible and have definitely garnered a following. Tommy, you're the Funko guy.
Well, I was in a store yesterday, and the shop owner was like, I cannot believe how these things have taken off. And like, it is. It's kind of crazy. Funko Pop vinyl figures are like, they're hot. And I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier today about characters. People just love to have their characters. And so you come in, you've got these really unique little action figures with the big heads. I mean, Funko started off with bobbleheads. Those of y'all who don't know, if you haven't followed up with Funko, check out their documentary on Netflix. It's really fantastic. But when they got into more and more licensed merchandising, they were starting to bring on the big IPs that they started creating different lines. And then the Pop Vinyls has been probably the most successful, if not the most successful, action figure series since Star Wars came out, if I can remember. I mean, I don't know a type of action figures that have been so hot for people to go in and get, mostly because of their collectability. It is the closest thing to what we have in the comic books world as far as finding those rare items, because they do limited pieces. So if you're at those conventions, if you're going to Comic-Con, if you're going to Emerald City Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, sometimes they throw out something. It's like, we've only made 1,000 of these. We've only made 500 of these. And to get those convention exclusives, those things ramp up in price. Or if you get something like the Stan Lee Pop that's autographed by Stan Lee, that thing will ramp that price up $200 or $300. And there's some pretty pricey Funko Pops, and it's kind of crazy to think it's just a little piece of plastic. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, these things are pretty cool.
Yeah, people have definitely attributed them to kind of this generation's Beanie Babies. But I think
that's a stretch, bro.
It is, but hear me out. So insofar as, the fervor, the collectability, Funko has definitely outlasted, TY and Beanie Babies, but I think a lot of that, again, is attributable back to characters. Having these licensed items, people are able to latch on to a specific fandom or a specific character, whereas Beanie Babies were just these generic things.
Remind me to tell you my Beanie Baby story.
But I think it's important, again, to note that these cultural significance of enjoying and promoting and collecting things that you're excited about and following, whether it's from comic book characters or movie characters. They've even got Funko Pops for sports stars as well. So I think it's one of those things where people are really interested on those specific things that they can latch onto and say, this is my interest, and that's kind of what they generally collect. But then again, you have these collectors and Funko fanatics, which they self-identify as, and what Funko promotes them as, of just anything and everything.
Yeah, so if you're a collector, you're going to go after everything you can get your hands on, especially if you're looking for those special characters or special franchises that you want to get, that you're into, and you want to get as many of those as you can. You want to find the rare ones, you want to find all of them. Or if you're just like the average person who maybe not be into fandoms, but you like this sports character, you like this wrestler, you like this TV show. I got a good friend who loves the Golden Girls. I mean, he would never go buy Funko Pops, but they had all 4 of the Golden Girls, and guess what? We got him a set of those, and it's like they're sitting on his desk. And that's the great thing about Funko, because even if you take it out of the box, you can set that little figure on your desk, and people go, it's a great conversation piece. And I think that's the magic of it at the end of the day. Yeah. They really spark conversation because, a lot of people I work with at Mall Maker, they know I love Funkos. So they're always looking for, hey, Tommy, there's a cool Funko. So I get these text messages every once in a while with a picture of a Funko. And sometimes it'd be like, oh, that's cool. Or like, oh, wow, that is really cool. Why don't you, can you grab that for me?
Well, Tommy, that all sounds great. But do you have a particular favorite? What was your first? I'm sure that, with as much as you enjoy and collect these, there have got to be some good stories there.
Well, Jared, I thought you'd never ask. I love talking about Funkos. I guess, like I said, they're great conversation pieces. So, yeah, I do have some favorites. I definitely get my Batman figures as much as I can. They just released Tim Drake Red Wing. They have the Red Hood came out with a convention exclusive this past spring. And so there's already a Nightwing, there was already a Robin. If they could do a Damian Robin, I'd be all about that too, but I like to collect all those little characters that are associated with Batman. Stranger Things is a big thing for me too. There's some really good Stranger Things pops coming out this summer with the new season. So I want to add to that. However, what I really like looking for are those like very unique figures that are sort of unique to like some of my favorite movies and TV shows. For example, Coming to America. Had to get all the Coming to America pops. All right, and when they were released, Funko did a Funko exclusive of, you guessed it, Jackson Heights' own Randy Watson. I've actually got 2 of these, all right, because I just love, this is like really one of my favorite movies, and they're actually making a second one here in Atlanta. Yay! So interested to see how, hopefully this guy will make a repeat appearance, maybe with the gray Jerry curl, and it'd be great, but I'll definitely look for things like this. Randy Watson is one of my favorites. I went and picked up an Atom Bomb from Garbage Pail Kids because, when I was a kid, I had a lot of Garbage Pail Kids, and so there's a couple of these, like 3 or 4 of these, but Atom Bomb was Garbage Pail Kids #1, so I had to get this one, And back to my Batman, I got Disco Nightwing, folks. There are a couple of Nightwing pops out there, but this one was a DC Legion of Collectors exclusive, and so just because I like this particular Nightwing, I wanted to make sure I got that. There is another one, and maybe we can throw an image up later, but one of my favorite ones was our director, Zach, was down in Savannah at a comic book store, and he came across Blue Falcon pop.
Oh, wow.
So it was a little pricey, but I was like, it was an Emerald City Comic Con exclusive. So just to find one here in Georgia, I was like, yeah, pick that up for me. So he got me that one. I didn't bring it into the studio today, but it is one of my more favorite pops that I have. So I'm also looking for Dynomutt. So if anybody out there's got a Dynomutt, know where I can find one, shoot me a message. I definitely I'll be interested. So it's like these little knick-knack things. And I got all the Trading Places ones because I like Eddie Murphy movies. And there's some comic characters that I definitely try to get some of. But like you said, it can be pretty overwhelming. I'll tell you one I'm really looking forward to, and it's coming out it's pretty soon. I think there's actually a Foot Locker exclusive, is the Michael Jordan pop.
Oh, okay.
Because, he's the GOAT. I don't care what you say. He's the greatest of all time. And he was just my favorite player. So I want to make sure I have a Funko Pop of Michael Jordan because, like I said, you want to Funkos really represent your taste. And people, you can tell a lot about a person by what Funko Pops are sitting around them,
That is very true. And I think that's also a great signal because for those individuals who are trying to figure out when it comes time for gifts, whether it's holiday, birthdays, or otherwise. These are good indicators of what somebody is interested in, and if you get them something from that same series, Funkos for the most part are relatively affordable, or at least it kind of signal posts and signal boosts what they're interested in. Like if somebody took a look at my shelf, they're like, okay, he likes X-Men, Magneto, specifically. Video games from like Mass Effect and things like that.
Yeah.
So you really do get a sense of the person.
A lot of video game pops out there.
Yep.
So just a couple of things I kind of want to throw out for all of you out who may not be Funko collectors but are looking to get into it. I'm a collector, so I definitely like to keep a lot of mine in the boxes. Some of these more special ones I put into the Pop Stacks hard cases that Funko puts out. You can get these at GameStop, Hot Topic, just about anywhere that sells them. I think you actually have a couple of them, or if you don't, grab a few, because I will definitely buy them, because I like to put some of my more favorite Pops into these cases. There are some, Randy Watson here is in a little bit more of a, I think you actually have these, Jared, something similar to this. A little bit more of a generic case, but it also keeps it from getting damaged, because in the collectability factor, if a couple of things are kind of in play. One, how many pieces were made? So the lower the number of pieces, or if it's a limited edition, like this was a limited edition Funko exclusive, it awfully, just like anything, it ups the value of it, just like comic books. The convention exclusives are definitely some of the bigger ones. There's some chase figures out there that are designed specifically with a low number, just so you can hunt them down, hence the word.
Well, actually, you're correct. For those of you that don't know, when anything is referred to as a chase variant, it's randomized. So, like for example, when I order Funko Pops at the store, if we order them from Funko, we have to order them in a quantity of 6. So if I wanted to order Atom Bomb, I'd have to order 6. And when they pull those off the shelf, they just pull the case, and the machine randomly assorts whether or not there's a chase variant inside. So the term comes from those that are actually driving to multiple locations trying to find this individual variant, because it's not something that can be ordered. It's just randomly assigned in whatever case slot and just appears at a store.
And that's the way a lot of action figures were. When I was really big into Star Wars, I got to the point, I worked at FAO Schwartz on 5th Avenue, and so I had to unbox them, and really what you would get in there is you'd get a case of 12, and you'd have 8 of one figure, you'd have 2 of the other ones, or 2 and 1 and 1. So like there would be like 2 figures in that box that were just one, a case of 12, and it's like, so that's where the collectability came in. You wanted to get those hard to find figures, and that's one great thing about Funko Pops. People, when they look at these things, as far as like collectability, they look at the blister pack. Is it scratch damage? The cleaner it is, the better. It's just like a comic book. They're going to grade these things based off the nicks and scratches that are on, as the corners torn or the creases. And if you're a collector, you're going to want to look at those things when you pull it off the shelf, especially if you go to a big box retailer who sometimes doesn't take the care, or if you go to some place and they put a sticker across the top, it's like, oh, man, they just ruined it for you. But some places are good. GameStop does put stickers across the top, but usually those stickers don't really pull any of the paint off or anything like that. So those are things I look for when I'm going to shop for Funko Pops, because I go to a lot of stores and I pull them out, and first thing I do is see if that box is jacked up, and if it is, it's like, I'll just wait, And a couple other things too, and your local comic shops, if they're into Funkos and they're able to order them, ask them, hey, can you get me this? Especially if it's a preview exclusive, because those are really easy to get. And I know you're going to talk a little bit about how to get those things. But, there are some big box retailers that are really throwing those out. Funko does a great job of kind of splitting up some of the exclusives. So whether it's Target, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Walgreens, like I said, even Foot Locker has a couple of them now. So a lot of these stores are getting these Funko exclusives, and you kind of want to hunt those down. And I think one of the questions I do get, Jared, a lot is like, how do you know what's coming up? Because it's not like there's a diamond preview catalog for Funko Pops, but ish. It's not like, I know when I go to look for comic books, I know where to go and what to look for, and I know what's coming up in the next month. With Funko, I have to follow social media. And Funko itself does a great job of letting us know what is releasing. And sometimes there's not necessarily a date, so you really kind of got to dig out there, folks. But if you follow those social medias, you can at least get in the pipeline of like what you want. So like I knew there's a couple of, like the Batman Who Laughs was a preview exclusive, and I definitely reached out to say, hey man, make sure you pull me one of those aside. But yeah, there's some tricks to that,
Yeah, and you know, following social media is always good. I know that they do include them in the merchandise section of the big previews book for Diamond retailers. But yeah, always trying to keep an eye out for what's coming up, and what's new is always good for those that are looking for something specific, because you might be surprised. I saw that they're doing a whole line of these marketing icons, and they have like cereal mascots like Captain Crunch, Count Chocula, Boo Berry.
That's where Funko got its start, though. Those were some of their first licensed products.
Okay.
But now they're starting to sort of re-release them, like Twinkie the Kid, you know, and King Don. I think he has to say King Don now, because that's not what it really was called. I think it used to be called Ding Dongs. Yeah, those are cool too. I actually like Captain Crunch.
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
yeah. I think the character design makes for a cool pop too.
You know, and Funko for me, guys, is something I get to do with my nephew. He likes Funko Pops. He's 10, and so we hit Books A Million, we hit the comic stores, and we always go out there and look for those hard to find Funko Pops, or just something he's into. He likes the Flash show, so we've gotten a lot of those, and he likes a lot of the Marvel characters, so we've been picking up some of those as well. So
awesome.
Again, so whatever your tastes are, whatever your method is, if you're going to collect, if you're just looking to put something on your desk, can't go wrong with Funko Pops, guys. So that's our spiel for Funko Pops today.
That is a ton of useful information for collectors out there. But I think we have one more pop that we have to talk about.
We do. All right, guys. This is an autographed copy of Harley Quinn from the Arkham Knight game by Miss Tara Strong herself. And I want to give it to one lucky subscriber today.
I think that's a great idea. So, guys, ladies, everybody who's watching this, if you would like to win this autographed Harley Quinn pop, here are a couple things that we need you to do. Go ahead and make sure that you are subscribed to the channel and share it. If this episode reaches 1,000 views, we're going to go ahead and pull from our subscriber list at a random generated number, and we will select a viewer. At that point, we'll go ahead and send you a direct message to get your information and let you know that you've won, and we're going to go ahead and ship it out to you. So absolutely share on all your social media pages. Let people know that we are here on Direct Edition on YouTube, Direct Edition TV on Twitter, Direct Edition TV on Instagram. Do all those things, and we'll make sure that we give you the chance to win this pop.
So for all of you fans out there of either the Batman Arkham Knight game, Harley Quinn,
Tara Strong,
or if you're a fan of just Tara Strong in general, you want to get this pop, because it'll be a great addition to your collection, and I'm happy to share it, Jared.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with our local spotlight.
I never been feeling like sport will take me so far. My dad trains me. He was also a sportsman. He was a runner, so he always gave us inspiration. We started in the garage, and we start to grow, and we start to open the dojo, and we start fighting world championships. It's very good fighters in Atlanta, and different people come to the competition. The difference is about fighting experience, because in our country I don't have much experience, you know. So that's why I have to move to World Championship to see and take some experience from them, and we go back and try to be like them. Yes. It's my first time I lost now. Lots of mistakes, so I have to check and cover those things and try to rebuild again. That's make me always a better fighter.
And welcome back. I don't get out as much as I'd like to. I work 7 days a week and have a shop of my own, but luckily that's why we have Tommy. He's our very own Where's Waldo, and I'm sure he's got a great find for us this week. Tommy, what's our local shop of the day?
Well, Jared, I made my way south to the town of Griffin, Georgia, and I'm going to check out Bunjee's Comics. And this is Bill. Say hi, Bill.
Hi, Bill.
So I love to go to those stores that have a lot of inventory because you can always find those hard-to-find new release issues on these walls. Bill, you got a lot of stuff here. Tell me about your organization.
Generally, I try to keep the last 2 to 3 months worth of a story or of a comic on the shelf. We do straight alphabetical in 8-foot sections. I have these weird-looking dividers that my mother made many years ago, and it's kind of a throwback to the original store. So I've been using these for 26 years.
What a back issue collection. I could spend hours in here. In fact, I've actually done it before, and I'm probably going to spend a few more hours in here today. Hey, Bill, so love your back issue section. How often do you turn over your inventory?
Hard to tell in a section like this. I try to have as much in stock as possible, which means there's a lot of stuff that will sit here forever, and I'll have it forever, but that's okay. When someone comes in looking for that one weird book, it'll be here.
And for all you parents out there looking to introduce your kids to the world of comic books, Bunjee's has a great selection of kids' books. From all your favorite Marvel heroes, Teen Titans Go. Come check it out. All right, Bill, I gotta ask, where does the name come from?
Bunjee was a character on a Saturday morning cartoon.
Fox, it's really high voice. It says, hi, I'm the Bunjee in town. Even my friend.
Ever since then, I've been the Bunjee.
And Bunjee's has a great selection of both graphic novels and collectibles. We're gonna spend a lot of time over here perusing these novels and seeing what collectibles, because he's got some really hard to find DC collectibles. If you know me, guys, I love my DC. Let me check it out. So that's a look at Bunjee's Comics in charming downtown Griffin, Georgia. It's just south of Atlanta, a stone's throw from I-75. Bill, thank you so much for having us.
Oh, it was a pleasure having you guys in today.
All right, man, we're going to take it back to the studio.
Tommy, Jared, take it away.
Wow, Tommy, you found a really cool place.
It's a rare gem. I said in the episode that it was like a stone's throw from the interstate, but really it's about 12 minutes or 15 minutes or something like that off the interstate. However, it's worth the drive. Downtown Griffin is really, really charming. It's really cool. There's little shops and restaurants, and it's kind of one of those little towns here in the South that's kind of revitalizing itself a little bit. And the fact that he's got this store, I think he originally was in McDonough, and then he's moved over here in this nice building, and he's got a ton of stuff. I spent hours in there looking at those back issues, and he's got some cool collectibles, and I definitely walked out of there with a few things, you know.
Good.
And he actually hooked myself and Joe up with some Bunjee's Comics T-shirts, which we got some images of. So that was really sweet of the guy. He was of Bill. He was such a great guy. And I thought he did a great job. You know, he had a lot to say. He definitely knew a lot about the store, and I was just impressed all around. I mean, I love finding those little shops, those little places out there that most people don't know about or kind of hard to get. And so, you know, it's fun to see what people do different. I think some people get a little self-conscious because they see your store and they go, "Oh, but your store is so clean." I said, "Well, it doesn't matter. To each his own."
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely, and that really is the most exciting part of being part of this industry, and being part of a community of small business owners in this particular niche. Is we all do it differently, and to each their own, and we love to see and watch others succeed. And you know, I know when I have clients come in, if they're looking for something and I don't have it, and I can't order it, I tell people all the time, I'm like, hey, there are great other stores. You might have to drive out a bit of ways, but they're always worth, you know, stopping in and checking out, and Bunjee is usually on my list.
My good friend Brian came to visit me, and I literally dragged him all over like the Southern Crescent here in Georgia looking for Funko Pops, believe it or not. But I definitely like to, you know, when I'm up on the north side of town or if I'm out and about, I will definitely hit as many stores as I can because, you know, sometimes I'm looking for back issues, sometimes I'm looking for some new releases that I didn't get from you. I actually found a copy of Naomi #4 yesterday. But, you know, I like to make the trips because some days I'll carve that out, but then sometimes it's just like you just kind of drive across it. I'm in a city, got to check out the local store.
Very cool.
You know, so if you're out there and you're a local comic shop owner, we want to hear from you. We'd love to come visit your store. So like, subscribe, send us a comment. We want to know because wherever I'm at, and I'm at a lot of places, I want to come by and check you guys out. Jared, unfortunately, we've reached that time again.
Yeah, I think we sure have. As always, thank you so much for joining us. Tommy already let you know, all those important social media channels are always a good follow and a good idea. Thank you so much, and as always, geek responsibly.